Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Paint a Mini. So we're doing more Mansions of Madness. This time we're just going to do one mini. We're going back to just doing one mini, and we're going to look at this Dunwich horror. It comes with, I think it's the first edition of the game, and I think it also comes with, okay, back up. It comes with the expansion pack Recurring Nightmares, I believe, but it also comes with the first edition expansion Call of the Wild. So you can have this miniature in multiple ways, but I got it through the second edition expansion, Recurring Nightmares. So anyway, I thought that with this one, I want to do a big, bloody, gross looking dude. I kind of liked what we did with the thralls in the last episode, so I figured we would try to do something like that, but on a really, really big scale. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with some blood red. Just no nonsense, it's blood. It's blood red. So we're going to shake this bottle up really, really well, and I'm going to pour some paint onto my little tiny plastic surface here, and we're going to need a lot, because we're going to coat most of this miniature with this blood red. Whoop, I just got a little bit on my finger. Oh, yep. Just wipe that off a little bit, that'll be fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right. And it doesn't really matter what kind of brush we're going to use, so I'm just using some random brush that I have here. This wasn't an expensive brush or anything like that. It was just something that I got cheap somewhere at some point. And what we're going to do is we're going to water our paint down a little bit, so we're going to take some water right here. I'm going to dip my brush just into the surface, just a little bit, just a little tiny bit, nothing too dramatic. Just get some water up in there. And we're going to mix that up with this blood red. And that will water down the paint substantially. And we're going to use that to just go over basically everything. The only thing that I'm not going to go over is the head that this thing has. Yeah, it's got, you know, a big kind of, I don't know the story on the Dunwich horror, or the Dunwich horror. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's a Lovecraftian thing. I think that it showed up somewhere other than Mansions of Madness, but I don't know the story of it or anything like that. But yeah, so I don't know what it's really supposed to look like or anything, but I'm just imagining, yeah, a big, amorphous, blobby, veiny pile of flesh that's just disgusting. That's what I'm kind of imagining this thing being, and I feel like that is what we're going to have the most fun with. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm kind of disappointed that getting the Recurring Nightmares set only... Or, was it Recurring Nightmares? I don't think it is, actually. I think it's Suppressed Memories. I think it's the other expansion pack that kind of serves as what was an expansion pack for the first edition of the game, Call of the Wild. Yeah, so I believe this was from... Not Recurring Nightmares, now that I'm thinking about it, but... Suppressed Memories. I'm kind of bummed that getting either of the first edition kind of expansions for the second edition game, that is to say, if you get either Suppressed Memories or Recurring Nightmares or Suppressed Memories, I kind of wish that you got more than one scenario with each one, because I really, really like the sort of Call of the Wild inspired scenario that comes with Suppressed Memories and the Call of the Wild expansion. I really, really like it a lot. I think it's just called something Dunwich, something Dunwich. But it's a really, really good scenario. I really like it a lot. My wife and I will probably play that for the channel at some point. But yeah, I kind of wish that it came with a couple of scenarios, because some of the tiles that it comes with are very, very nice, and you really don't get to use all of them. You don't get to use a lot of the miniatures that comes with it. So, yeah, hopefully they can write some more DLC for the game that includes content that is exclusive to... Get my brush a little bit wet here again. That includes content that is specifically for, you know, the whole Suppressed Memory and Recurring Nightmares thing. But, you know, we'll just have to see, I suppose. Yeah, we just want this dude to be nice and gross. Nice and bloody all around. Might have gotten a little bit too much water out there. And yeah, I'm definitely going to need to get out some more paint. So I'll do that here shortly. I think I'm running kind of low on blood red. I've had this paint bottle, this blood red paint bottle, for a long time. For several years now, actually. So I might need to get some more at some point. I was talking in some previous videos about how I might see about just making the change from Master Series paints here to all Citadel brand paints, just because there are a lot of Citadel technical colors that are really, really nice, like the blood for the blood god and that kind of thing. I really, really like that stuff a lot, so I don't want to use too much of it unless I've got something like really special that I want to use with it. I thought about using that as a base coat for the Dunwich Horror, because I thought that would be really, really cool, but that would take up a lot of paint, and I don't necessarily want to use all of it just for, you know, one miniature, or use most of it just for one miniature. Okay, I don't think I need much more red. We're starting to get there. Getting the inside of the legs on this miniature can be kind of a pain in the neck, actually, as demonstrated with what I'm doing right here. But I think I'm getting there. Okay. Yeesh. It took a few minutes. Looking at the timer on my phone, that took 13 minutes to do that, so that wasn't too terrible. I guess that, you know, it helps if you just got a really big brush and you're not really caring about the details or anything like that, which we certainly are not at this stage. So there you go. We've got that nice blood red kind of base coat going there, although that is still very, very wet in a lot of places, just because that tends to happen when you water down your paint. So, you know, obviously the whole thing is watered down a little bit, so it might take a little bit longer to dry than usual. Well, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to do some dry brushing. So before we get too crazy, I am going to go ahead and let this dry fully. So I'm just going to sit this here, and I will be back in a few minutes. All right, that is much better. That is much more dry. Maybe a few little wet spots into some little tiny creases and all that, but that's okay. We will be totally fine. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna move on to getting the skin kind of effect across. So I'm gonna move on to this tan skin color, and we're going to use this for a couple of things. The first thing that we're actually going to use with it is we're going to cover up that face that is just right there, front and center, very prominent. Okay. So I'm gonna use just a small size Citadel base brush. I don't think I need to do anything too fancy with it. So I'm just gonna really lightly go over the whole face here. Again, I'm not too worried about the details or anything. I'm just gonna cover the whole face. Not a huge deal if you get a little bit of tanned skin onto the hair that's kind of surrounding the face or anything like that, because we're gonna go over that with a darker color a little bit. I think he's got fangs. He's got some teeth. Some chompers. There we go. That'll be fine. Simple as that. All right, so I'm gonna rinse that off. Very, very, very quick step right there. All right, and next up, we're gonna go big. We're gonna go really big. All right. So I'm gonna take out a medium-sized dry brush. If you've even got at home a large-sized Citadel dry brush, I would use that. But we're gonna use this, and we're going to use this thing to cover all of the skin, or all of the, you know, all of the blood bits, all of the tentacles, all the tendrils, and all that good stuff. We're gonna cover all of those with this tanned skin color, and that should hopefully give it a really, really interesting look, as long as everything goes correctly. That is, I think it'll be good. I think that it'll work out just fine. It is a practice that I've done multiple times here. I've used it for, oh, don't worry about getting any onto the hair or anything like that, because again, we're going to go over the hair with some brown later on. But yeah, I've done this quite a bit. I've done it with all of the possessed soldiers that I made for the Doom board, that I painted for the, I didn't make them, that I painted for the Doom board game. I did it for the Thralls in Mansions of Madness. I really, really, really like this effect of having a base coat of red and then using this tan skin to sort of accentuate everything. I think it's a great effect. I really like it a lot. It's really simple too. You know, it's maybe it's not, you know, the fanciest or best paint job that you can do or anything like that. However, it's something that I feel like is accessible to anyone. Oh, the other thing too is that you don't necessarily need this medium dry brush that I'm using right here. You can probably get away with using, if you've got one at home already, a small sized Citadel dry brush. It's just that this medium one will make the process go a little bit faster, that's all. But yeah, anyone can do this. You don't need fancy washes or shades or anything like that. You can just do this across the whole thing, and it's got a really nice convincing effect, and I really like it. But yeah, it looks more brain-like now. More it's gross, which is what we're going for. The other thing too, you can see kind of like rows of teeth in various places. I mean, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and go over everything, all over the whole thing, you know, just with one color. Don't necessarily get hung up on one spot or anything like that. And then we're actually going to take an even lighter shade of color. We're going to take like a pale color, and we're going to use that for all of the teeth, for like the teeth, you know, here. And there even, you can see some teeth on the sort of like tentacle things that are kind of sticking out. And one thing that will make going over those easier is that when you dry brush with this tan skin, just a little bit, you can kind of see those teeth start to stand out a little bit. And we're going to, you know, further bring those out with a smaller brush and a lighter color. And I think that will look just fine. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, so like I said, this is going to be a very simple paint job. Again, maybe not like the best thing that you could possibly do, but you know, we're not here to be, you know, the best competitive painters or anything like that. We're here to just kind of have fun, and I want this to be accessible to anyone who just wants to give it a shot. However, I do want to give some more love to somebody that I've talked about on my channel before. His name is Lucio. I don't know his last name, but he's got his own channel. It's called Lucio's Workshop. He is an Italian gentleman. I believe he is based in Italy somewhere. But he is an expert painter. Holy crap. He is leagues above anything that I can do. And I mean that with sincerity. If you want to look at some like really expert level paint stuff, I will put a link to his channel and some of his videos in the description for this video below, because yeah, again, if you want to look at some really nice paint jobs, he really is an expert. I thoroughly encourage you to check out his work, because he's leagues ahead of me. And I mean that. He is leagues ahead of me. He's great. Definitely check him out. This is coming along great. Very nasty. Very gross. Yeah, and a very simple thing too. Again, this is just something that anybody could do. If you've got a set of decent miniature paints and maybe a few specific brushes and just some goodwill, you will crank out some awesome, beautiful, lovely miniatures. Oh, some of that, I just realized some of the paint on my plastic surface, some of that red paint is still a little bit wet. That's okay, that'll be fine. No problem. Ooh. Makes your skin crawl just looking at them. Ew. I love it. Oh, it's so good. Sorry, I don't mean to sound weird or creepy, but yeah, I'm proud of this. I like it. I think that it looks pretty good so far. And we haven't even done any detail work or anything just yet. We still have some work to do. But yeah, there you go. That gives you that really nice, fleshy, gross, kind of brain-looking kind of thing, just all the way around. That looks really good. And I think I ended up using, putting out way more tan skin than I really needed, but that's okay. I think that's pretty good. Let's give the mini kind of a once-over. Let's just kind of like look over to make sure we didn't miss any particular spots or anything like that. Yeah, I like this because the legs, as they're coming out, they have the more sort of like tan, you know, muscular look to it, whereas the center mass itself has a lot more red prominent. which makes it look extra bloody and extra oozy. And I like that. I think that actually works pretty well. Yeah, that's the nice thing about dry brushing. You don't need to worry about any of the details or anything like that. As long as you're dry brushing correctly, all the details will just pop out for you. It's awesome. Beautiful. Okay, I like it. All right, I'm gonna rinse that brush off. All right, and then let's get out some earth brown, just a really nice standard brown color. That's all that this is. And we're gonna use that for the big hair, all of the big kind of like lion's mane wizard hair thing that he's got going on here. Let's use... That was unnecessary. That's okay. Let's just use that same brush that we were using for the face, which was the small-sized base brush. I think that will be okay. Tell you what, let's do our little water trick here. Just a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of poke. Little bit of water. Don't need too much. Water it down just a little bitty tiny bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that'll be fine. And then we're going to use a shade to get the low points of the hair there. And I think that will be just fine. Okay, why don't we move on to all of our details? Like I said, there's some teeth kind of laying around everywhere. There's some really nice prominent teeth. So why don't we move on to a really fair color. We're going to use this, excuse me, I just burped. Okay, we're going to use this fair highlight color. Not gonna need out too much, just a little tiny bit here. Maybe a good hearty drop there. There, that'll be fine. Okay. All right, what kind of brush do I want to use? Some of the teeth are kind of big, some of them are kind of small. Let's use a small size Reaper round brush. It's not quite the micro detail brush or anything like that, but it's just got a nice kind of little sharp point to it that I think will be good for all of the teeth. I'm gonna start with the teeth on his face. Again, he's got kind of fangs there. That'll be fine, nothing too fancy. All right, and then why don't we just kind of, pick a little tentacle and just go for it. And we don't need to make it too prominent or anything like that. Why don't we just kind of, poke, little dab each tooth, just a little bit. Nothing too fancy. Okay, now these teeth on the back are very prominent. Smile! The Cult of Sentinel Hill is after you! That's what that scenario was called. It was the Cult of Sentinel Hill. I was thinking about that earlier, like, what was the name of that scenario? I didn't think it actually had Dunwich or Dunwich in the title, and it does not. It was Cult of Sentinel Hill. That's what it's called. Good scenario. I like it. Probably one of my favorites, if I'm to be honest. I kind of like the scenarios that get away from the sort of like haunted house dynamic and open up into, more unique locations like city streets and, Cult of Sentinel Hill is like all in the woods basically, and I really like that setting. It's just nice and creepy, nice and fun, and that's why I like it. That's why I'm actually really excited for. Sorry, my dog is in the room. She's got long nails right now, long claws. Need to get her claws trimmed actually, but that's why I'm really excited for the new expansion, Horrific Journeys, because it looks like all of the scenarios take place in a different location. Like one is on a train, another one is on a boat, or like a ship, some kind of, like steam liner or something like that. And what's the other one? Oh, and the other one is a blimp, I think. So that's probably going to be fun. I do look forward to that new expansion, Horrific Journeys, when it comes out. I think that it'll be super fun. Got some teeth on that one. Okay. Okay, and I think that that will be just about fine. Yeah, we've got some teeth showing up all around there. That's nice and gross looking. All right, I like it. All right, so let's rinse our brush off. All right, and I was kind of thinking about using some entrail pink to do some of the veins, but I think I actually like them all the way that they are. I think that that actually looks pretty good. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of shading. We're just gonna go ahead and do our handy dandy Agrax Earthshade right here. We're not gonna be doing anything too prominent because I really want the red and the pinkness of the guts, you know, the whole like center mass there to be really prominent. However, we are going to go ahead and really let loose there on the hair and the face. I think I'm going to use my medium shader here. I think that this will be fine. Load it up there. Let's get our shade onto the hair. Okay, and then we're just gonna very lightly kind of go over the whole thing, just a little bit. Again, nothing too dramatic. Again, we really want to keep that red, you know, the way that it is. In fact, actually, let's not use this brush. Let's use, just for the whole thing, to kind of lightly go over the whole thing, let's use our larger shader. Let's use our big ol' large shader, this guy right here. Again, we're not gonna, if you want to continue using the regular small size shader, I think that you'd be fine, but I'm gonna use this just to make the whole process go a little bit faster. Okay, rinse that off, and actually I will go back to that small shader for just a moment, because I actually want to use that to kind of get some shade, more shade especially into the big mouths, the big kind of like tendril things, and that way that will bring out the teeth that we focused on a little bit more. Let's just drench the mouth in this stuff. Oh, that was too much. That's okay. There we go. Yeah. All right. That just kind of brings out the real shade in their mouth and their mouths there. That looks pretty good. Let's also use it to just kind of go over any white spots that we might have missed. See how there's like a little bit of a white spot here? Let's just kind of cover that up a little bit with this shade. There we go. Okay. Now let's rinse our shader off. And I think the next thing that I'm going to do, we're actually almost done. We really have very little to do. All I really want to do is the eyes. However, I kind of want to have a little bit of fun. So I would say that the next thing that I'm going to do here, you don't have to do, but I'm going to do it for funsies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out my Blood for the Blood God, as soon as I find it here. Yeah, my Blood for the Blood God. Love this stuff. I've gushed about it on the channel before. I won't take up your time with it anymore, but I love it. It's fantastic. All right, now let's use this stuff to really get some detail work going. Or not some detail, but just like some extra icky goo kind of stuff going on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out that big brush that I used for the kind of like base color, you know, the base blood red all over, and I'm gonna kind of almost scoop out like a really big glob on the tip of my brush there. You see that? That's what we're going for. All right, let's close that up. All right, let's just put that right there. Kind of wipe it off. All right, and then let's go back to our water here, and let's use that same brush. Let's get our brush kind of wet, and we're going to really thin down that Blood for the Blood God. See that? Oh yeah. See how thin that is? That's what we're going for. And then let's just kind of apply it on the brains and the kind of center mass here. And I think when it dries, the deep contours are gonna have this kind of like glossy, wet, bloody look, and I think it's gonna look pretty sweet. So let's do this. But yeah, we're just gonna do it all over the center mass. All right, and I think that with that, I'll probably about call it, but I kind of want to do something else with those eyes. So let's do something real quick. Let's have some real contrast going. All right, let's do something really crazy. Let's get out something that's really, really contrasting, and let's get out some pale green here. Don't need too much, just a little tiny drop. All right, let's use that one small-sized Reaper round brush that we were using earlier. I think that will do just fine right here. And we're just gonna poke the eyes on that face. Luckily, this face is actually pretty large, and the eyes are pretty prominent, that it's not too tough to get away with the eyes on this miniature. Just kind of lightly poke each eye. I'm not even using a micro detail brush or anything like that. Ah! That was such a dramatic dropping of the miniature. I don't even know how to describe that. Oy. Oh, I'm such an idiot. That's okay, we're fine. There we go. Yeah, I got some nice glowing green eyes there. All right, I'm gonna let that fully dry, but I think, and yeah, you can kind of see that blood red starting to really show up in the lower levels there. Ooh, oh, it's just gross. It makes you sick just looking at it. Okay, that's good stuff. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it with this miniature. So thank you so much to everybody for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and throw it a like. If you want to see more Mansions of Madness miniatures being painted, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of board game stuff, a lot of miniature stuff. So yeah, you can look forward to more of that. I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you again so much for watching, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.